Hey, this is Vinnie and I'm here for Guitar Player Magazine to talk to you a little bit about my article, Shaking the Tree, exploring some of the sonic innovations of U2's guitarist The Edge in celebration of the 30th anniversary of U2's iconic album, The Joshua Tree. Now, a lot of people know The Edge as a guitarist who relies heavily on effects, especially the delay. And that's true, but before Edge even plugs into any effect, he's got something unique to his sound, and that's the pick that he uses. It's a special pick from Germany. It's called a Hertum. And what's unique about it is that it has a bumpy, grippy surface, which you can take a look at. And what Edge does is instead of playing it in a traditional style, he flips the pick around, so he's actually striking the strings with the bump, the grip surface. And this gives him a really unique attack. I'm going to demonstrate that for you right now. So if I use the regular end of the plectrum, the pick, this is what it sounds like. Now I'm going to flip the pick over and I'm going to use the grip end. And you can hear it has a much sharper, if you will, edge to the attack. So before we even plug into our delays, that's something really unique and an important component of his tone. I'm going to look at the intro to Where the Streets Have No Name, and it's one of the most iconic riffs, I think, in the Edge's repertoire. He's using a rhythmic delay set to a 3/16 or dotted eighth setting. And if you're not familiar with dotted eighth rhythmic delay, you can look in the July 2016 issue of Guitar Player for my article, How to Get the Most Out of Your Delay Pedal. But essentially what it is, it's using delay as a compositional tool to generate another note, 3/16 notes, or a dotted eighth note, after the original. All right? Some delays have a tap tempo that'll figure this out automatically. Other delays, you just kind of have to set it by ear, or others you can actually dial in the specific milliseconds. So to set your delay for Where the Streets Have No Name, the beats per minute of the song is 129. It's 129 beats per minute. That means the delay is going to be generated at 348 milliseconds after the original note. You want to set the repeat so it repeats the original note you play approximately 2 or 3 times. And you want to set the mix, which is how loud the delay generated note is, fairly loud. So it's almost as loud, if not as loud, as the repeated note. All right? For Where the Streets Have No Name, the Edge is essentially playing an arpeggio of a D sus4 chord up on the 10th fret. It's 10th fret of the first string, 10th fret of the second string, 12th fret of the third string, 11th fret of the third string, and then back up. 12th fret, then 10th fret of the second string. So it's a D note, an A note, a G, an F sharp, a G, an A. And it's 8 notes in a 3/4 pattern, like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now the magic, we're going to turn on the delay. And I'm using an Ibanez PDM1 modulation delay. You can use any old delay pedal. A Boss works great, a Line 6 works great. I believe the time of the Joshua Tree, Edge was using 2 specific rack delays. He was using a Korg SDD 3000 and a TC Electronics TCM 2290. And one of the features of the delay he used was it had a certain amount of modulation, almost like a chorusing effect that you could dial in. You can do it without the modulation, but I find that putting in the modulation really gives an ethereal backwash to the sound, which is sort of integral to the Edge's tone. Okay, so here we are. Example 1, Where the Streets Have No Name, with the delay. Here it is again without the delay. And with the delay. All right, for the rest of the song, or for the rest of the intro to the song, when it goes from the 3/4 to the 4/4, we're taking this D sus4 arpeggio and playing it as a chord. That's figure 1A in the article. And then resolving it to the D, which is figure 1B in the article. And then we're just strumming it in the 4/4 like this. I'm going to do that without the delay. I actually play it just straight eighth notes and let the delay kind of create that 16th note syncopated rhythm, but you can play it with the syncopated rhythm. And here it is again with the delay. So if you're familiar with U2's song With or Without You, which was one of the big hits from Joshua Tree, you notice at the beginning of the song there are a lot of these violin-like synth swells. They're actually not played on a synthesizer though. For that, Edge is using something called an infinite guitar, which was designed by a guy named Michael Brooks. And it's a guitar that was designed to sustain notes indefinitely, sort of creating a feedback loop. Now, I don't have one of those, so instead we'll just have to turn our attention to the main lick that comes in later in the song. It starts with a G on the second string and a D on the first string. And then it resolves to an F sharp on the second string, then an open D, and then an open G. So that's a G on the second string, D on the first string, resolves to an F sharp on the second string, an open D, and then an open G. This is played at a tempo of 110 beats per minute, and you would set your rhythmic delay to 410 milliseconds, I believe. So here it is without the delay. Now we're going to kick on the delay and hear what the riff sounds like with the rhythmic delay added. So on the song, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Interestingly enough, Edge takes a basic 12-bar blues pattern. And for the verse, he plays the first 8 bars of the 12-bar blues twice. And for the chorus of the song, he plays the last 4 bars of the 12-bar blues twice. But instead of doing your basic shuffle blues, he really reinvents it in his own unique way. Now, this song is originally in the key of C sharp, and to play it, Edge, I assume, used a capo on the 4th fret. In some live videos I've seen, he has his guitar tuned down a half step and plays it with a capo on the 3rd fret, which would put it in B. I'm going to demonstrate it in open position, which would put it in the key of A, but you can feel free to move the capo to any fret and do it in whatever position you feel most comfortable in. Now, for the 1 chord, we're playing this really unique voicing of an A major 7 with no 3rd. So it's an open A string, an octave of the A on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, an E on the 5th fret of the 2nd string, and then a major 7, the G sharp, on the 4th fret of the 1st string. Right? And that would be the 1 chord. For the 4 chord, which would be the D, all Edge is really doing is instead of playing the open A string bass note, he's playing an open D string bass note while keeping the same grip. The chord name would be D sus2 sharp 11, or you can call it D add 9 sharp 11. But the idea is that it's a really unique variation of the 4 chord, which would be a D. And then for the 5 chord, he's just playing an E5, first finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, pinky on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So we have the A major 7, no 3rd. Then we have the D sus2 sharp 11. Then an E5. Essentially the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. Now let's try it adding the rhythmic delay. Here's the A major 7 chord. So you see, it really does follow a 12-bar blues form, but it's just kind of reinterpreted in a really unique way. Here's the example without delay. Here's the D sus2 sharp 11, A major 7, no 3rd. E5, D sus2 sharp 11, A major 7, no 3rd. Now with the dotted 8th rhythmic delay. Here's A major 7, no 3rd. D sus2 sharp 11. A major 7, no 3rd. E5, D sus2 sharp 11, A major 7, no 3rd. Around the time of the Joshua Tree, Edge started using a really unique effect that became known as the Shimmer, which was kind of this ethereal string pad that he could bring in and out underneath guitar arpeggios. It's sort of like if you've ever heard a string pad underneath a piano, except this was for guitar. And the way he did this was to split his signal and run dry signal through a pitch shifter and a pre-programmed delay. And very often he'd bring this in with a volume pedal. What I'm using today for it is a Digitech IPS Intelligent Pitch Shifter 33B. That's a Digitech Pitch Shifter IPS 33B. And I'm splitting my signal with a Boss digital delay and using a Ernie Ball VP Junior volume pedal to bring it in. Now I've got the Shimmer running through a separate amp. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start playing the arpeggio. I'm going to bring the Shimmer in with the volume pedal. Here we go. And you can hear it almost has like that heavenly angel choir effect to it. There are certain pedals that you can get this with. I think Electro Harmonics, the B9 and the C9. The only difference is they don't split the signal. Whereas if you use a rack effect or a different pedal for it, and the volume, you can bring it in and out by using the volume pedal. All right, for the final example, we're going to look at the song In God's Country, which wasn't really a hit single, but it's become a really beloved album track on the second side of the Joshua Tree, if you're old enough to remember side A and side B, which I might be. So for this example, I'm going to switch to my bridge pickup. Previously, I was using my bridge and my middle pickup in the out of phase position, which is something Edge did a lot when he was playing clean tones. But this one, we're going to get a little bit more aggressive sound. So for the D chord, it's played up in the 14th position. Switch to an A minor chord in the 12th position. Okay, that's how it was played on the album. But what I thought was really cool is that very often when U2 played this song in concert, Edge would change it up, and he would play what was essentially a D5 voicing up in 14th position. So you have an A on the 3rd string, a D on the 2nd string, and then an A, the octave, on the 1st string. Then he would slide this form down, a C5, sliding it down a whole step. So you have the 12th fret G, 13th fret C, and then 15th fret G. And he would resolve this to a G over D chord by lifting up the 2nd finger and barring the 12th fret on the 3rd and 2nd strings. So D5, C5, G over D. All right, that's the example without the delay. Now I'm going to kick on rhythmic delay to see what it sounds like. Here's the same example, and like I said, this is based on the way Edge would play the song in concert, and you can check it out on the Rattle and Hum concert movie. D5, C5, G over D. One more example, one thing I'll show you that's not in the article but I think is pretty cool, and that's at the beginning of the solo to this song. Edge starts his solo on the 19th fret of the 1st string, and he plays a stream of 16th notes. But one thing he does is he mutes the 3 or 4 strings behind it by putting his 1st finger down. So you get a muted 4th string, a muted 3rd string, a muted 2nd string, and then the B on the high E string. And you play a stream of 16th notes and you get a really unique tone. But the key to the sound is the steady 16th notes and then the muted other strings and then the delay. All right, so I hope you enjoyed our visitation with some of the guitar styles of the Edge today, and I hope you learned a thing or two. I think Edge is a really unique genius who can't get enough praise. He really reinvented and reapproached the guitar and did so in a way with music that was really accessible on many, many levels. So anyway, I'm Vinnie DeMasi for Guitar Player Magazine. If you'd like to see some more of my lessons, you could visit me at the New York City Guitar School in Midtown Manhattan. You can check out my website, vinniedemasi.com, or you can find me on Facebook.